Hello YouTube and Patreon, this is Nathan P. Butler, and this is our project update for the month of November of 2019. First of all, to all those who celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. That is coming up here in just a few days. And we've got kind of an interesting conundrum that has come up that I'm going to address near the end of the episode as far as just going forward, what to expect versus what you'll see, kind of immediately versus the stuff that you would see quite a bit later on. It'll all make sense when we get to it. First off, let me thank all of you who are backers over on my Patreon. That, of course, is patreon.com/NathanPButler. Over there, if you are one of the travelers through the Butler universe, that's the folks who do the $1 a month pledge. You get a thanks at the end of this episode in the credits, and on a special thanks page in the upcoming second edition of my book, A Saga on Home Video, A Fan's Guide to U.S. Star Wars Home Video Releases, which we'll talk a bit about later. Those folks also, while there is still a manageable number, wind up getting a mention here in the opening of these project update episodes. So those would include Ben P. Stein, Martin Dahl, Austin Pierce, and S.W. Chris. Now, if you jump up on Patreon to that $5 tier, you get access to audio commentaries that I put together for, so far, the Clone Wars and Forces of Destiny. I'm actually kind of debating right now whether to go ahead and plan on commentaries for The Mandalorian for after the season is over. Because I want to have context to be able to actually give you commentaries with some depth, rather than just being, oh, this is cool, oh, this is cool, oh, this is cool, and that sort of thing. The trick to it, of course, is that means, the season has to be over for me to do it. But I'm thinking about making that sort of a supplemental thing. I just don't really know if there's enough interest for that. I'm assuming so. I'm assuming if you're willing to drop $5 on Patreon for me, for my stuff, that more than likely you probably are already a subscriber to Disney Plus if you're a Star Wars fan. So it may make perfect sense to do that. We'll see. Let me know in the comments. But I definitely am considering doing that once that season is over. But as far as that tier, that $5 tier, we have some newer faces and some brand new faces, though not brand new to me, just to the Patreon. So we have Jason Hunt, we have Bobby Craig, we have Robert Medina, Chris Morgan, Sam Howard, Stephen M., Joey Zitzman, Jeff Ellis, Chris Lewis, Jeremiah Mustard, Nathan W. Mortimer, Gary Sherwood, Kyle Pellegrini, if I'm saying your name right, Kyle, let me know if I'm mispronouncing it, Walker Langstrat, and, new this month, Andrew Gilbertson, who is a name that you may find familiar because he tends to be one of the more vocal people who write into Star Wars Beyond the Films. I've known Andrew for quite a while. Andrew and his wife and his brother-in-law for quite a while. I consider them some of the good guys, so to speak, or good people, because Sarah's in there too, not a guy. Some of the good folks who are in the fan community, always trying to help out others and do right by others. He's also the guy, if you're familiar with the Star Wars Marvel's audio drama that I participated in, that took a lot of the early Marvel comics from the 70s and adapted them into audio drama form with a great performance by Andrew as Jackson, kind of based a little bit on Bugs Bunny. That's this Andrew. So it's cool to see him as a part of the Patreon group there. And then, of course, we have that top tier on Patreon, that $10 tier. Those are the folks that get everything else, but also wind up getting access to that exclusive Q&A video every single month. And again, Ennis, if you're planning on putting in a question for this month, make sure that you repost your question. Remember, Ennis, if you're watching this, as I said in the last Q&A, the question that Ennis had asked for this month, which could have also been used for the previous month, I can't see it for some reason when I try to pull up the post. Though I think I may have found the old email notifications to be able to find it. I thought I deleted them, but I think I found them. Anyway, Ennis, post that question again if you haven't already. And then, of course, in that tier, we have Andrew Bettis, Benjamin Handelman, Ennis, as I mentioned, Jonathan Comfer, and Brian Snook. So, great group of folks here all the way down the line, and I really appreciate all of your support over there. Again, it is patreon.com/NathanPButler. Now, also speaking of Patreon, we have that new content coming out, right? That's kind of the point of the Patreon. It's not just to support me and help keep me able to do the stuff that I'm doing, but also it provides stuff to those who are backers, as I mentioned a moment ago. So, since the last time we did one of these updates, we've seen the commentary release for Hostage Crisis for Clone Wars. That was the last episode of Season 1. That actually is the second to last episode before the time jump that takes place. Then we had the Nobility of the Butler Universe Q&A number 23 get released on November 9th. And then on November 15th, we had the Clone Wars commentary for the last of the episodes prior to the time jump, which is Hunt for Zero. Though I did make an error when I was talking about it in the opening, for those who are, paying attention to that sort of thing. I mentioned that it's the 8th episode of Season 3, but the 52nd episode chronologically not counting the film. The 52nd chronologically not counting the film is correct, but it's the 9th episode of Season 3. I reuse the templates episode to episode as I'm going through and recording, and when I made the copy and paste from doing Evil Plans to Hunt for Zero, I, for some reason, neglected to change 8th to 9th. But that was the 9th. The next one I'm recording is actually Pursuit of Peace. That'll be the 10th. And I'm hoping to record quite a few because we are on Thanksgiving break now, and in the county that I'm in Georgia, it is an entire week because of all the people who travel and whatnot. So it's longer than just a few days, especially 9 days if you count the weekend, which is awesome. And it's the one time of the year when, because we kind of have to be ordered to just leave the system alone, that we absolutely are basically forbidden to do anything for students. So no answering emails, no answering texts, no phone calls, no grading projects, no unlocking tests, nothing like that, which gives me 9 days to actually get stuff done. Granted, it's still me and my son here most days, which makes it hard to be productive on some things, but as we'll get to at the end of the episode, I think I've got a plan to be as productive as possible during that span of time. So that's all stuff on Patreon. Now, podcast-wise, we of course have me on Cloud City Casino with Michael Morris over at StarWarsReport.com. We still haven't had a chance to get together to record, but I'm betting we will be doing so soon because I have made it through Jedi Fallen Order, which is fantastic. And I've finished up Vader Immortal now that Vader Immortal Episode 3 is up. In fact, if you follow me on Facebook as an individual, my personal page, you probably already saw a video playthrough that I did on that and live streamed. My plan is to download that and then re-upload it to the Cloud City Casino Facebook page or something, for those who aren't connected to me personally, since that tends to be people I actually know. Let's see. So nothing new for new episodes of Cloud City Casino, but hopefully soon. Hopefully we'll get to record during the break or something, even if Kate is running around and gets to be sort of the co-star of the episode again. And then for Star Wars Beyond the Films, we still haven't had a chance to get together and record because we try to do that when Cade is not in the room because it's a little bit more deep discussion. And I'm often the one editing it, and that's a pain in the butt, even though Michael doesn't tend to mind it with Cade. But I did post a text review of the book Resistance Reborn back on November 4th. That's over at StarWars.com, or StarWarsReport.com, excuse me. The plus side of that book is that it connects stuff. It's actually a book where the author gave a crap to do their homework and really connect a lot of the existing canonical material out there into a more finely woven tapestry than we've really seen before for a story set in this era, as opposed to a guidebook set in this new canonical era of Star Wars publishing. It's probably the single most connected book that we've ever seen. And I go into a bit of that without spoiling anything in that spoiler-free review over on StarWarsReport.com. That brings us to YouTube, where we had quite a few episodes from the Star Wars Home Video Library and a little bit of other stuff. Our last project update was on October 26th, or at least uploaded on October 26th. Same day, we had the release of quite a few episodes from the Star Wars Home Video Library, as I mentioned last time was going to happen. So we have episode number 230 from the Star Wars Home Video Library that looked at those 2019 Walmart exclusive t-shirts that are actually in VHS-style packaging. We had episode 231, which was the Premiere Collection red-bordered collector's edition version of Spaceballs on DVD. In episode 232, we looked at the widescreen version of the 1997 Special Edition Trilogy VHS set from the UK, and the special Ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi action figure you could have gotten as a bonus when purchasing it back in 97 in the UK. In episode 233, we looked at the Clone Wars film DVD in a special larger box that included a small version, it's just scaled down, but complete version of the Battle Begins Clone Wars book. And we had episode number 87.1, one of those supplemental episodes that looks back at something we've seen before, so it gets a point whatever added to it, which was a quick look at the Freemaker Adventures Season 1 Blu-ray set. if you were to have gotten it from Disney Movie Rewards before it switched to Disney Movie Insiders and all that kind of stuff. Disney Movie Rewards basically gave you that with no outer cardboard packaging or magnets, whereas it was still the same Blu-ray and whatnot, the same sort of inner packaging. Then on October 28th, we took a look at the Star Wars arcade cabinet from Arcade 1-Up, the one that has the Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi games from Atari from back in the day, right back in like the late 70s, early 80s. Great arcade cabinet. We got it set up in our bedroom now. We went through and just kind of took a look at how it plays and what it looks like and that sort of thing for those who are still on the fence about it. Then we did one of our Kickstarter overview videos of contents and a game and whatnot on November 3rd, looking at the game Shard Hunters, a card game relatively cheap that I was able to pick up from Kickstarter. Then I put up a brief sort of alert back on November 10th, as I'm wont to do when there's some kind of new exclusive out for home video collectors that is a pain in the butt that I'm trying to make sure everybody's aware of. That was when I basically put up a quick alert notice saying, hey, there's more Walmart exclusives for the new releases of those Blu-ray digital combo packs of the films than just the original trilogy, because a couple weeks after that, they actually did start putting out the rest of the Skywalker saga films that way. Still no Rogue One or Solo yet, at least not that I've seen. Then we had from the Star Wars Home Video Library number 234. That is the one that actually looked at all of those others. So that's the Walmart exclusive versions of all of the episode 1 through 9 films minus the original trilogy, because that had already been covered previously. We had episode 235, which looked at the Attack of the Clones VCD dubbed in Turkish from, of course, Turkey. And episode 236, where we looked at a Revenge of the Sith VCD from Singapore with some pretty cool packaging. On November 18th, we actually looked at the last of the Star Wars Legion products that you're probably ever going to see on the channel, which was those playmats, those game mats that I had pre-ordered ages ago that I was still getting because I could use them for other stuff. Those are for Jakku, Sullust, and Hoth, all in one video. We also looked at the game mat or playmat, whatever you want to call it, for Star Wars Outer Rim. I do have Armada Rebellion in the Rim. I recorded a video on that around the same time. I still have to edit it and put it up, but that'll be coming soon. Just like the one for Proving Grounds that I still haven't touched, that's been sitting there unedited in a whole bunch of tiny pieces. And then the last thing on YouTube on November 22nd, just a few days ago, was a huge, like hour and a half almost long, in-depth look at the contents of the game Nemesis for Wave 2. So we had done a video on Nemesis Wave 1, which was the core box and the Kickstarter bonus content box. Then we also took a look at the Adrestia promo from Lords of Hellas, which is a Nemesis promo. We took a look at the Crawl Deck promo from the 2019 Kickstarter for Dice Tower. Now this is Wave 2, so the stretch goals box, Carnomorphs, Terrain Expansion, Space Cats, Alien Kings, and so on and so on and so on. Everything available within Wave 2, so that now we've covered everything for Nemesis, which is one of the single best board games I have ever played. I would say it is the best board game I have ever played, the best tabletop game I have ever played. But Tainted Grail will be arriving on my doorstep probably this week, and is probably going to take that crown. But suffice to say, if you're into survival horror stuff, Nemesis is freaking amazing. And I'm betting Tainted Grail will be also, but I'll have that soon. And I guess lastly, we need to look at the writing stuff, right? So A Saga on Home Video 2nd edition is basically moving incredibly slow, like some of the slowest progress that I've seen for a while. I took a bunch of pictures a while back. I still haven't got a chance to get those, cropped down and size changed and stuck into the book or anything. Until I get the pictures all pretty much ready to go, I'm not really writing anything. I'm waiting until that's ready to go so I can see how it all works and see what the file size looks like and everything. I just haven't had a lot of time to work on that. And I've got a short story I need to get written for Wars, for the upcoming Wars stuff from Archbeetle Press, that is going to be sort of a story of how Rogan Hallard and Jerlin Cray started working together at all for Z-Labs, which is sort of setting up a bit of the relationship that we already see sort of in its maturity, the friendship, the camaraderie, the brotherhood in Healers and Hunters and On Red Soil and and within the game itself. So I need to get that written sometime soon, though I don't think we're going to see much more for Wars until 2020 because just this end of the year is just crazy for everybody involved with it, but it is going to be something I need to get done that is coming. With those things in mind, I really need a chance to, write. I need a chance to sit down and actually get that done. I need to get a chance to sit down and actually take more pictures for the book. And what's tending to happen is when I get a chance to steal a moment to actually record something, or steal a moment to actually work on something for me that can have my son out of the room, for instance, I'm rushing in here and trying to get stuff recorded for the YouTube channel, like from the Star Wars Home Video Library, like the game stuff. If they go to sleep, early enough at night, I go in the living room to be able to record game stuff on those big tables in there. But that means that when time permits, the thing I'm not focusing on is the book or the Wars thing. And I really want to get a Saga on Home Video 2nd edition out by the end of 2020. I want to get it out there once we've got the home video releases already in hand for Rise of Skywalker, and when we get a chance to see if they're going to do anything with Mandalorian on home video, if at all, or Season 2 of Resistance, if at all. So end of 2020 is what I'm trying to shoot for. That would basically be about 3.5 years since the first edition, which is a nice stretch of time. We had quite a few new releases since then. But if I'm going to do that, I need to actually focus on getting it done. And that is not necessarily always the easiest thing to pull off. So I'm thinking that you're probably going to see me over the next couple of months. I haven't made the decision yet, but over the next couple of months, I'll probably be pulling back some on what I actually get done for the YouTube channel, for instance. Keep up the pace with everything on Patreon. And if I get a chance to actually record the podcast, keep doing those. But relative to the YouTube channel stuff, you may see me pulling back a little bit so that when I actually have time to do something, I'm not recording or editing videos, I'm actually working on the book. Because the only way that's going to get done is if I get it done, right? It's a one-man show. All of it's one-man show stuff, except for the podcast, right? So that said, just expect that it may slow down a little bit. I mean, you'll still see the steady trickle of stuff. When new stuff comes up, you'll see it. Game video-wise, I don't expect a whole lot of those anytime soon unless I just knock out some Nate's favorite deck building games so I can put some of those games away instead of having them sitting on my table to finally get to them. Tainted Grail, I'm absolutely going to do a breakdown of Wave 1 because it's such a huge, phenomenally successful so far game. I want to make sure that that gets out there relatively soon. But I just feel like I need more time to devote to the book that right now can't be. And now that I'm on Thanksgiving break, this is a great time for me to be able to do that. Because as long as my son's not screaming, I can put him in his playpen, break out my photo box, and actually take the pictures while he's in there. Again, as long as he's not screaming, which is kind of the thing, right? As long as he's not freaking out and wants to get out of there, I should be good to take some more pictures. And then eventually do some writing. I could probably do some writing during breaks, during work. When students don't need anything, just break out the MacBook and get working on it. But it's all stuff that requires me to actually devote that time. So expect that to probably be the case with the slowdown, but it's hard to say at this point. We are coming into a time period where we've got this break, and then a few weeks later, we've got another break, a 2-week semester break. So it may be that I'm able to get a lot done even with me trying to set aside more time for the book. We'll just have to see. But I wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention, by the way, that if you are a fan of Star Wars Home Video and you have taken part in the Star Wars Home Video group on Facebook, or you've been considering it, or you've heard me talk about it and you're curious about it, I did want to note that Justin Berger, the gentleman who actually runs that group, who created that group, really good guy, Justin actually has a book of his own that just came out that you can pick up on Amazon and elsewhere. The book is The Empire Strikes Back Unauthorized Timeline, 1975 to 2020. And it is basically, it's what it sounds like. It is a timeline book. It reminds me a lot of the timeline books for like Babylon 5 that goes through the full development and afterwards of The Empire Strikes Back itself. And you might say, well, why does it say 1975? Because it's even going back to some of the earliest ideas that we know of that are documented related to what became The Empire Strikes Back and going forward. Really, really cool. I I'm really excited to have it in my hands here within the span of the next few days. I've actually got a chance to see a preview version of it, so I know of which I speak, or of which I speak when I say it's pretty cool. So if you're interested in that, you can find it over on Amazon. Again, I have nothing to do with it whatsoever myself, aside from just being a fan of it and thinking it's pretty cool. But Justin is a good guy. He's a guy that runs at Home Video Group and has always been great to work with as far as my moderating goes over there, and as far as just having this supportive community that exists over there. So check it out if you get the opportunity. Again, it's called The Empire Strikes Back Unauthorized Timeline, 1975 to 2020. You can find it on Amazon and elsewhere. Paperback, I believe the going price right now on Amazon is $25. Okay, but it's a nice, thick, sweet little paperback there with tons and tons of images and really well documented stuff. All right, that said, I think we'll wrap it up here for this update. Again, happy Thanksgiving to those of you who celebrate it. We're coming up on probably the next time I speak with you guys. It'll either be right before or right after Christmas, I think, because it'll be late in December. I'm going to prepare to get some more stuff recorded here, hopefully, get some more stuff recorded tonight for Patreon with the commentaries, and basically do my best to make this a very productive break. So thank you all, especially those who are backers over on Patreon. I really appreciate that, and I will catch you in a month. Have a good holiday.